So the film begins with 3 children playing in the evening. Just then, the evening prayer begins. The girl remembers that their teacher had told them to either go home or to the mosque during the prayer call. Otherwise, evil spirits roam the open streets at this time of evening, eager to harm children. But they were not willing to listen to her advice, completely engrossed in their play. While playing, their stick falls into the forest, and Carta goes into the forest to retrieve it. He finds his stick in a pit. When he reaches inside to pick it up, someone inside grabs his hand. He is frightened and screams loudly, but he cannot free his hand. Meanwhile, the girl who is walking towards her home hears a voice calling her. Terrified, she starts walking forward, not even looking back. But then someone attacked him from below, knocking him to the ground and dragging him into the forest. His third friend heard his screams and went searching for him. Here, Carta, whose hand was being held in the pit, might also be able to free himself. But when he pulls his hand out, he screams again in fear. Someone had broken off half his finger, bitten off, and now he's screaming loudly in fear and pain. The scene cuts to the present, 30 years later. 30 years later, we see Carta, now living a life of madness. Early in the morning, he bumps into 2 children. One is named Addie, and the other is named Saman. From the children's behavior, we learn that every child and adult here is afraid of Carta. These children, too, arrive at school in fear, only to discover they are late for school. They receive punishment from their teacher for being lazy. During this punishment, we also meet Ayu, a sweet girl from their class. Ayu is the daughter of Mr. Mardo, whose shop Honey delivers goods to. His family is extremely poor, so he earns his living only when he can afford to cook. After receiving his teacher's punishment, poor Saman arrives at Mardo's shop and is scolded by Mardo for being late to deliver the goods. Uncle Mardo tells him, "If he's late again, I'll complain to your elder brother." Meanwhile, Ayu arrives at the shop to get her bicycle so she can go deliver food to her uncle. The twist is that Ayu's uncle was none other than Carta, who had never returned home since his childhood accident. He had built a dilapidated house in the forest. Ayu loved him so much that she would take him food every day. Ayu was late with dinner today. Carta was terrified. He refused to take any food from Ayu, instead telling her to hurry home, saying, "It's evening, anything could happen to you." Ayu returns home, distraught. We are then shown a scene at the mosque. Almost all the children in the town were there, except Saman. Their teachers once again tell them not to go out in the evening and to rush to the mosque or home at the time of the azan call for prayer, lest the devils harm them. Meanwhile, Saman, who was at home, doesn't seem safe either. While he is feeding his grandmother, he suddenly hears footsteps. It turns out it was his brother who had come home that time, and he begins to beat him as soon as he arrives because he didn't deliver the honey. He then gives him a final warning and leaves for his work. We then see a dark shadow with long hair behind Saul. Saman had heard the first sound and mistook it for his brother's. In reality, it was the same entities. For a moment, Saman is frightened, but then he convinces himself that perhaps he had seen something wrong. The next morning, Saman takes his honey bottles and leaves for school. He delivers the honey along the way, and by the time they reach school, they are late again, and the teacher punishes them again. After the punishment is over, they plan to go to the city and watch a movie. They get a lift from a van passing by, and the scene cuts to Carta. He senses a strange wind in the forest, and he quickly drops all his belongings and heads up into the hills. Looking at the sky from his phone, he notices that it's extremely red. All this frightens him, as he feels like this Shyam is exactly like the Shyam he was 30 years ago, the Shyam who drove him crazy. Inside the van, we see Saman and Addie talking about their teacher, who used to punish them daily. Angrily, Saman says he wishes she were dead. Hearing this, the van driver becomes enraged and forbids him from saying such things. The scene shifts to the teacher's house, where strange things have begun to happen. The door to her house was opening repeatedly, and the lights were flickering. Every time she closed the door, it would open again. Frustrated, she locked the door, but suddenly the back door opened, revealing a terrifying entity. The entity drags her out of the house, possesses her, takes her into its custody, and then strangles her to death. The teacher's sudden death causes panic in the village, and seeing the chaos, the van driver also turns his van back towards the village. They also learn of the teacher's death. When they go to the teacher's house, Saman is even more terrified by the sight of the teacher's corpse. He feels guilty because he believes what he said caused all this. On top of that, Addie also makes him feel the same guilt, and in anger, he fights with Addie and runs away. The next day, the teacher's friend is hired. Wherever Saman had gone, he feels as if the teacher's ghost and spirit are haunting him, scaring him. Terrified, he returns home and quickly cleans his face. Then we see the devil emerge from the very water he used to clean his face, and as he emerges, he possesses Saman. The day passes, and the next day we see a group of important people from the village along with a police officer go to welcome a new teacher. The officer asks the teacher, "Were you supposed to come in the morning? Then why is she so late?" The teacher says something strange. "I must have gotten lost and gone to another village." We see Carta from behind a tree, looking at the teacher with strange eyes. In the morning, we see Addie and Saman, who used to come to school together. Now Saman is not with Addie. Addie arrives alone, still late. But this new teacher, Ningsi, doesn't say anything to him. And because of this, Addie takes a liking to the new teacher. Meanwhile, we see that Saman's brother has also returned from the city. He goes to Ayu's father's house to collect his honey money. But Ayu's father tells him that Saman hasn't delivered the honey in several days. This enrages him, and upon returning home, he starts hitting Saman without thinking. He doesn't realize that Saman, for some reason, has more power than him at this point, possessed by an evil jinn. So, he commands the jinn within him to end his brother. The jinn first leaves his body and scares him, and then re-enters his body, ending his brother through Saman. Salman himself had stabbed his brother multiple times. Now, because his brother had ended him for not delivering honey. Ayu's father had filed a complaint against him. To avenge this, he goes to Ayu's house, ends all his chickens, collects their blood, and puts it in honey bottles. He then hands it to Ayu's father. Seeing his own blood, both Ayu and her father panic, and the bottles fall from their hands. This frightens Ayu's father. It was still early in the morning, after all. Ayu's father goes to his shop, while Ayu goes to school. During this time, a very strange thing happens to Ayu. The ghost of her former teacher begins to haunt her, repeatedly whispering the name of Saman. Terrified, the poor girl somehow manages to finish the day's school. When she returns home in the evening, she discovers that someone has ended all her chickens, and they have also discovered that Saman was the culprit. Accompanied by a police officer, they head to Saman's house and are horrified to find the dead body of Saman's brother. Addie knew his friend well. He goes to his favorite places and finds Saman standing in the river. Addie quickly summons everyone there, and they seize Saman and bring him home. Everyone has discovered that he is possessed because he wasn't talking, but instead muttering strange things. When their new teacher learns of this, she comes to meet Salman. However, Salman doesn't respond to anything she says, leaving her disappointed. We see Carta observing all this from a distance and becoming extremely frightened. Inside, near Saman, we see two spirits, one of his brother and the other of the teacher he cursed. They both threaten him and tell him to die. Following their advice, Saman struggles to death. Addie was deeply disturbed by his friend's death. His teacher offers him support, but he loses interest in anything. He stays at school until evening, studying there. As soon as he leaves, he sees his friend cleaning the school. In reality, it was Saman's ghost, which possessed him upon seeing him, and Addie, now mad, starts banging on the wall. We also see Carta, who upon seeing Addie realized that he too had been possessed. Therefore, he goes and hangs an amulet at Addie's house. However, Addie's father witnesses this and is enraged by Carta's actions. The next morning, we see the same scene at school. All the students are back in class. During class, Ayu is once again haunted by the spirit of her old teacher. This time, she whispers Addie's name in Ayu's ear, just as she had whispered Saman's name. She is terrified because she understands that just as Saman died, Addie will die too. She thinks she can save his life. So, when she chases after him, she can't find Addie in class. Poor Yeyu searches for him everywhere, her home, her favorite place, even the forest, but she can't find Addie. But we see Addie deep inside the forest. While passing through the forest, he calls a child to him in a strange voice, and the child, in a state of strange possession, obeys and goes with him. We learn that news of their disappearance soon spreads throughout the village, and despite everyone's desperate search, no one can find them. Saman's death and the subsequent disappearance of the two children have spread widespread fear in the village. The teacher also advises all the children in the school that no child should stay outside in the evenings, and that they will finish school early and go home together to pray that the two lost children may be found and Saman's soul may find peace. After class ends, when the teacher emerges, Ayu approaches her and places an amulet given to her by her uncle Karta. As soon as the amulet is placed, the teacher is electrocuted and throws it away. She asks Ayu, "What is this?" Ayu tells her about an amulet that keeps negative energy away from people. The teacher composes herself and tells Ayu, "Son, I don't believe in such things, and you shouldn't either." The scene then shifts to the officers still searching for the child and Addie. They find the body of the child Addie had taken into the forest inside a tunnel, but they don't find Addie there either. Meanwhile, Ayu's father returns home and finds a dead body on a bench outside his house. Upon straightening it out, he discovers it was none other than his own body, which someone had brought and left there. Ayu, still in the forest searching for her friend Addie, spots Addie in the middle of the road, having fatally stabbed a dog with a large knife. As soon as he sees Ayu, he chases her to end her. Ayu abandons her bicycle and runs away. He locks herself inside a house in Kadip. He keeps knocking on the door repeatedly until finally the knocking stops. The girls assume Addie has left. But he had walked towards another door. As soon as he entered the house, he was about to attack Vayu. But someone attacked him from behind and knocked him unconscious. It was actually the village security guard who had also seen him approach. The guard takes him to the mosque, where it is revealed that he, too, is in a state of evil energy. He has been possessed by some evil. Upon learning of this, everyone there begins exorcising him. They give him an antidote, which causes him to vomit profusely, and he seems to recover momentarily, but he remains unconscious. Outside, everyone talks, and they discover that they saw Addie heading towards the graveyard, and from this, they deduce that Addie must have removed Salmana's dead body. No one understands why Addie was doing all this. Then Addie's dad explains, "I saw Karta here a day or two ago. He hung an amulet outside my house." Who knows, he practices black magic and is the one who orchestrated all this. Enraged, everyone goes to Karta's dilapidated hut and beats him severely before he dies. Just then the officer arrives, stops everyone and says, "I'll keep Karta confined in my house and investigate him myself. You don't need to end him." Everyone agrees with the police officer, and Karta is released. The scene cuts to Ayu, who is deeply traumatized and even sick due to Addie's pursuit. She tells her father that Uncle Karta is innocent and that he just wants to save the village. Before her father can process her words, there's a knock on their door. It turns out it's her teacher who's come to meet Ayu. Upon seeing her, Ayu becomes terrified. Here, we get a major twist. The teacher, whom everyone had considered benign throughout the movie, was actually the evil Jinn. To understand how they all discovered this, the story flashes back to a day when Karta felt a strange evening, becoming extremely worried. He monitored the entire village, trying to understand what was going on in the village. That very day, the teacher arrived, leading Karta to realize that the teacher wasn't actually human, but rather an entity called the Black Mother, who had taken human form. This Black Mother feeds on children's fears. When she's tired of scaring them, she ends them. To test whether her thinking was correct, Karta personally created the amulet and gave it to Ayu, explaining the entire situation. He explained that if your teacher catches the amulet, you should know it's human. And if she throws the amulet away as soon as she grabs it, or feels a strange shock, or acts strangely, or gets angry, then understand that it is Black Mother. And that day, we witnessed firsthand how frightened she was when she dropped the amulet. And that day, through Ayu's actions, Black Mother also realized that Ayu had discovered her truth. That's why she had Addie pose to scare Ayu. At this point, she sits very close to Ayu, patting her face and says, "You won't tell anyone in the village because if you do, you and the entire village will be ended." Here, she confesses to all her evil deeds. Not only did she end the first teacher to get here, but she also ended Saman, and she also posed Adhai. And she also ended the child who died through Adhai. She also ended Saman's brother. And let me tell you another interesting thing. Your uncle, who to this day seems crazy to everyone, said, "Is that right? Actually, I was the one who scared him 30 years ago. And because of me, he's still mad." Here, Ayu also realizes that the spirit of the previous teacher she's been seeing repeatedly wanted to help Ayu. She wanted to save them. Every time she called out the names of Saman and Addie, it meant Ayu had to save Saman and Addie. But she couldn't save either of them. This time, she immediately remembers the amulet Carta gave her and throws it at the teacher, that is, Black Mother. But now, after ending and scaring so many people, Black Mother has become so powerful that the amulet has no effect on her. She even holds the amulet like a normal piece of paper. After doing all this, the teacher leaves, and as she leaves, Ayu gets up and goes to Carta. Carta is terrified as soon as he sees her, thinking she's come to end him like the others. But Ayu says, "No, I trust you completely. I've learned the truth about Black Mother. Black Mother has confessed everything to me and also told me she's going to end Addie. We must both find her together." Carta agrees and says, "I'll go to the teacher's house and capture him, while you go after Addie and try to protect him." They both go their separate ways, and Carta goes to the teacher's house and sees her in her true form. A terrifying old woman who, without even looking back, recognizes his arrival and tries to scare him by posing as his friend. The scenes flash back, showing us what happened that day after Carta's finger was cut. In reality, this Jinn had first enjoyed the fear of his two friends and then ended them right in front of Carta's eyes. The villagers, believing Carta to be behind all this, abandoned him, thinking him insane. After experiencing these flashbacks, Carta becomes extremely vulnerable and frightened. But then he remembers that if he is to fight this entity and save Addie, he must overcome his own fear. He now goes to the place where the entity first possessed him. He begins to burn the place. But then the souls of his friends appear. He remains unafraid and continues his work. Meanwhile, we see that Ayu has also found Addie. She tries to stop him, but Addie, unheeding, walks towards Ake as if in a trance. We see that the same Black Mother had possessed him and lured him to the river. She was about to end him, taking advantage of his fear, but then the Azan, sacred prayer, began, and this Azan was actually none other than Godat. The sound of the Azan weakens the Black Mother significantly, and we then realize that it's morning. The Black Mother always becomes extremely weak in the morning. Due to this weakening, her possession over Addie is broken, and he returns to semi-normal. They rescue Addie and leave. Kardapur then defeats the Black Mother, driving her away. But the Black Mother's story doesn't end there. We see her terrorizing another child on another road.